Good morning to you. It is Friday, July 19th at 11:46 a.m. Happy lunch hour to you. Happy end of the week lunch hour to you. Hope you're doing well. It's been a bit since we've talked. I think it's been over a week. I think I posted last Thursday. I'm not sure. But the difficult thing about this time of year and posting at least once a week is some weeks are slower than others. And I don't know if it's because all the media's firepower has been focused on political centric things. I don't think that's it. Or is it just because Purdue football, there's no information out there? Regardless of what it is, I've got a few things to talk about, but some of them are pretty interesting. Appreciate Chris Harder is here. And so is Ted right off the bat. So, I got to tell you, the quality is excellent of the live audience, if nothing else. So hopefully I sound good on that end. I'm updating some things around here. You can't see this, but I got a new monitor in front of me, which should make it a little bit better for me to keep an eye on things. I'm going to recable the entire place because of some of the electric issues I had a couple weeks ago. So trying to make sure everything's working, and I appreciate everybody's patience while I feel my way through that. Before I dig into the big news in my title, I will thank our friends at AJ's. When you're on campus and you want something delicious and you want to be helped by the nicest folks, the greatest staff, head towards the fire station, go in, get something to eat, get a pint, watch a game, whatever. Do what you want to do. They're going to be good to you. EatAJ's.com. AJ's by the fire station. And also, if you need a t-shirt, you can't get one like this because this is like a family t-shirt. But you can get one with Purdue stuff on it, or another one of your favorite college teams. If Purdue isn't your thing, thanks for coming. Head over to homefieldapparel.com, enter Boiled23 at checkout, get 15% off. Got some cool stuff there. So here's the deal. I got to play EA College Football 25 last night with my son. He ordered it. He's getting ready for college. He's got the essentials already working. He bought a new Xbox to get ready because I think the Xbox that he has is an old one, and so he got a I don't know which one it is. I don't know anything about this stuff anymore. But he ordered the EA Sports College Football 25, and I haven't played that game in years. I was trying to think about the last time I played it. If you're anything like me and you play EA Sports College Football, your game is a little bit unorthodox. I tried to not be ridiculously goofy and onside kick a lot and go for every 2-point conversion, which I like doing. The stakes were a little higher. I had bragging rights here. My son set up the game. It was it was national championship game, and Georgia State. He always picks Georgia State, and I don't know if this was a tweaked version of Georgia State that he had gone in and messed with a little bit. I don't think it was. And I, of course, picked my Boilermakers because that's what I do. So the uniforms look good, and right away Hudson Card doing big things. His primary weapon, of course, was walk-on Andrew Sawinski. I don't know why, but the dude was torching Georgia State's secondary, especially on fly routes down the left side. And when you needed some balance, you got a little bit of Max Clare underneath, and Devin Mockabee breaking off runs right up the middle. Hartwig was busting up holes, all good stuff. I think Jenkins had the interception that sealed the game, just dropping back in zone coverage. But a lot of fun to play EA Sports College Football. And I don't have any relationship at all. He did not get a discount from EA, sadly, because of my massive influence on the interwebs. But it was fun to play, and Purdue wins the national championship. So that was cool. That's my big football announcement. The other thing it's not football centric. It's Purdue centric. I talked to you guys about me getting a tattoo if Purdue went to the Final Four. I said this months ago, if not years ago. And I promised to do that. I did that this week. I'm not going to show it yet because it's healing, and it's covered by, I think, the company, the product's called Sensoderm or something like that. It's a thin bandage-like material that you put on there, and it looks pretty gross right now because it's got ink and stuff underneath there, and I'm about to change that and see how clean it is, and should be a day or so before I can show the world my ink. And if you're against tattoos, that's okay. It's my second, and they're both towards me, if this makes any sense. It will, not towards the world, because they're always for me. And I'm excited about it. I'm stoked about it. My mom is not excited, in case you're wondering. Not excited at all. Does not think it's a good idea. Very upset with me. Not angry, but disappointed. So, but I will show the tattoo to you guys, and I'm pretty happy about it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited that I had the reason to get the tattoo because, as you know, that was a deal I made a long time ago. So what else is happening in Purdue sports? First off, let's talk about Zach Edey. Zach Edey update. He had not been playing in Vegas because of, I believe, an ankle injury. The internet, of course, overreacted, said there was nerve damage and that he was damaged goods. And if you know anything about Zach Edey, if you followed his career at all, which I think Grizzlies fans have looked into, I think Zach Edey missed one game in his career at Purdue. And it's pretty noteworthy for a guy of his size to be that durable. He may have missed two, one for injury, one for illness, but I think it's just one. And I think it was just illness. Doesn't matter. It was not many games, and it was early in his career when he missed a game. Zach Edey's a durable guy. Zach Edey rolled his ankle, so he didn't play for a couple days, and then he played last night versus the Pelicans. 6 points, 3 for 3 shooting, 3 boards, and a block before rolling the other ankle, blocking a shot. And if you've ever rolled your ankle, which I used to do it like a hobby when I was in high school, it's no fun, but it's something you can play with. And my buddies, who some of you may come on and listen to the show, they know I wore double lace-up braces all the way through college just to keep myself from doing it again, and it kept happening. He'll have better trainers than I did, I think. Although I did have Dr. Shelbourne took care of my ankle, who was later, I think at that point, actually, he was Purdue's sports doctor on staff. He helped out a lot of guys. ACL ended up being something that Robbie Hummel decided against after already having an ACL treatment with Dr. Shelbourne. But Dr. Shelbourne was always great to me and got my ankle in good working order. But still, Zach Edey's going to have better care than Dr. Shelbourne, even, who's a pretty well-known orthopod. So let's see what else happened. Now, Jakari Harris is back at practice, and if you haven't seen the video, he is a good basketball player. CJ Cox had the unenviable task of having to guard Harris in the highlights that I've seen. I am kind of awestruck by the build of Jakari Harris and CJ Cox. That came out unusually, but the reason I say that, and I noticed this with Cox a couple weeks ago, is how big and strong he is for a true freshman. Harris is the same. These guys do not look like freshmen. Physically, they really, really look the part, and I think that's going to be a very, very good thing. Granted, Braden Smith and Fletch Lawyer came right in. They did not look like guys that were physically ready to play college basketball. As it turns out, they were. They started every game as freshmen, every game as sophomores, and they didn't look like these two guys. So the physicality of these guys, I think, is something that I think we're going to love. The athleticism is something we're going to love. They both look great. And we've just seen snippets and clips. And if you've been fortunate enough to sit through practice, that's awesome. But I've heard nothing but good things about both of these guys. And if you look at the other end, Benter looks like a freshman, right? He looks like Fletch Lawyer did as a freshman. And maybe he'll still have impact just like Fletch Lawyer is. Who knows? One funny side note about Purdue's tandem of Braden Smith and Fletch Lawyer is that Ray Davis decided to say the best backcourt in the Big Ten this year would be Rutgers backcourt. And that got the attention of Braden Smith, which is interesting. And then he sent a note to Fletch Lawyer. I don't know if this is a a motivating technique by Ray Davis. I can't figure this out if he really means it. I know that Rutgers has highly touted guys coming in and they've gotten everybody's attention, but I got to tell you, I love it. Build a bigger chip on these guys' shoulders is nothing but positive for me, and I like seeing it. Finally, one thing I wanted to talk about, a big thing I wanted to talk about, was that the pre-con schedule is completely set for basketball. And I did a little bit of analysis of what this is. And maybe I should have talked about this in my title, because this is maybe the biggest thing, the biggest thought process I had when I was going through my notes and what I was going to talk about today. If you look at the schedule, it's pretty brutal. We've talked about this before. We knew it was going to be tough after everything was set. But if you look at that schedule, you've got at least 4 ranked teams, if not a 5th. Granted, this is not as hard as going through the Maui Invitational last year, which in itself is just a gauntlet. And Purdue went through 2 years in a row, and it was very, very tough. It's not that tough as that Maui Invitational. That said, it is a beast of a schedule. And I can tell you what I've surmised here in a second about the schedule. There have been a lot of people analyzing Purdue's pre-con schedule and what they think, and the idea that Purdue could go undefeated once again in the pre-con, to me, is a crazy idea. I can't jump on that bandwagon. I just can't. I think Purdue's going to have to grow up a little bit this year. Granted, they've got some vets in the right places, but I think there's going to be growing pains. And I think Painter actually wants to see some growing pains. And when you want to see growing pains, what you're going to do is put guys in new positions and not just go with the comfort food idea where you just give a bunch of guys out there that you know can play. He's going to try to get guys minutes early to see how different lineups look. I believe he will. And I think it might cost a couple games. The fact Purdue is under experience and a little bit smaller and less athletic, less strong in certain situations. One position specifically, one place right underneath the basket is noteworthy. So there's going to be a learning curve. But when I look at the schedule, obviously you've got number 2 Alabama at Mackey. That's a big deal. Like I said, having Cliff Almanuri on that Bama squad is noteworthy. It gets my attention because he always terrified me, and really, until Zach Edey became an absolute beast his junior year, Cliff was just a terror for Purdue. Purdue had no answer. Well, Cliff is still playing college basketball. Now he's in Alabama, and I think he's going to give Purdue fits. His athleticism, his quickness, his length, it's tough to match up with. There's a bunch of other reasons. Sears, obviously, is great at Alabama, too. So Purdue's going to have their hands full all over the court at Mackey. That's a tough test. It's at home. The Mackey bump's worth a few points, but that's tough to play the number 2 team in the nation that early in the season. They've got Marquette, which is a 15 to 20th ranked team in America. Noteworthy thing is, unlike most of these teams, actually unlike all these teams on the list other than Marquette has no transfers that are projected to start. That's really cool. Purdue is another team like that. Very unusual in this era to have a starting 5 without any transfers. The other thing is, of course, is they got Cam Jones, 6'5" guard, who's an absolute beast. I think he scored 15 or 16 points a game, maybe 17 points a game last year. So Purdue's guards will get tested very, very early versus Marquette. Like I said, they're 15th to 20th, depending on which poll you're looking at. Another team they could play, there's no guarantee on this, is Ole Miss, and this would be played in San Diego in that tournament. The really interesting subplot in that one would be, of course, playing Chris Beard again. Matt Painter's kryptonite, long before Zach Edey came on campus, was Chris Beard coach teams. It's no different. Still, I think Chris Beard teams are going to be tough. The really, really interesting thing about this Ole Miss team is they are very transfer heavy. So they may take a little bit of time to get into gear as a team together, but they're going to have no problem looking the part and looking like dudes, because I think they've got 4 transfers that are coming in that averaged in their teens and scoring in lesser conference play. Now, of course, they're in the SEC, so it'll be difficult, but that's going to be a good team. That's going to be a good physical, tough matchup. A lot of athletes on the court, and Beard, their style is always physically rough on defense. So we'll see what happens there. You got Texas A&M, another SEC foe, ranked 20th to 25th at a neutral site in Indianapolis. That'll be a fun game to watch. And then, of course, Auburn, another SEC opponent. So you've got SEC, Big East, SEC. Auburn, they're between 10 and 15 in top 25, preseason top 25s. It'll be played in Birmingham. So the question with Auburn will be, it won't be a question of how hard they play. Pearl will have them dialed in. It'll be a question of, is this the Auburn of a couple years ago that is just a defensive mother, or is it the offensive team that just tries to outscore you and run you up and down the court? I don't know the answer to that, to tell you the truth. Auburn also has quite a few. I think they have 2 transfers that will play very significant roles coming in. So when I look at the schedule, outside of that, you've got Yale, which is noteworthy because that's a tournament team. Let's see if there's any others here that I can look at. We've got not Marshall, Toledo. There's not, outside of those guys. Northern Kentucky is a team that who knows, maybe they'll make some noise in their conference and have in the past. But outside of those ranked teams, those 4 or 5 ranked teams, it might not be. I'm not going to say there's not a chance of losing, but there aren't a lot that scare me. So when I look at that first 12 games, and I think the Big Ten will be injected in there before the last 2, it's just like it's been the last couple of years. What I see is a Purdue being a 9-3 team, and I think they'll still be in the 15 to 20 range because their losses would come at the hands of really very solid, if not good teams. It's reminiscent a little bit of Alabama last year, who had a very, very good schedule. And I can't remember their record coming out of the pre-con, but they had a very good schedule, but they didn't have a great record, and they still held on to ranking because of that strength of schedule. And I think you'll get the same respect for Purdue in the pre-con next year, because of what happened last year, because of Matt Painter being who he is, and because of the fact that everybody knows Purdue's going to have quite a few freshmen that are going to be playing significant roles, so they're growing up. You're going to have guys coming off the bench that are new in their roles, that sophomores that are also very important to the team. So I think Purdue will get some respect, but they're going to take their lumps, in my opinion. I've been wrong before. I would love to see them get close to matching that undefeated norm that we've gotten used to the last few years, but I just don't see it happening. So that's about all I've got. Thanks to you guys for tuning in live. Not many of you. I thought we'd have more because of lunch hour, but I can never figure this out. Chris Harder says, happy Friday. Same to you. Ted Berkey says, good morning. John Younger says, hello, gentlemen. Need to be in verse says, confirm that it sounds great here. Excellent. Good to hear. Good to hear. Glad that sounds. One note. This is funny. It's not, I'm not going to get in wade too far into politics, but last night I watched Trump's address of the Republican National Convention. One of my big takeaways was, damn it, that was a long speech. The second thing was, and my daughter pointed this out, she said, he doesn't even have water. He doesn't have water. He's not, how does he do that? I said, I can tell you from just talking on the interwebs how difficult it is to go without drinking water. That's part of the reason I do this. Part of it's because my allergies and my throat dries out. But dag nabbit, to talk for an hour and 32 minutes without taking a drink, I didn't see him take a drink. That's noteworthy. Regardless of your age, that's pretty macho. Anyway, need to be a nurse says, B Dowd, are you aware of anyone who has created a season highlight video from this Purdue basketball season? There's a couple out there. I watched one and I can't remember who it was, so I apologize. I can't give you a name, but I watched one and it was pretty good. It was well cut. A couple people that come out here, Grant, who is not on here, hasn't sounded off. I think he does season highlight videos every now and again, so maybe he'll put one out there. Who knows? I don't think yet I watched one of his. So good question though. Ted Berkey. There's one thing that's really interesting. If you go on YouTube, you can watch the entire NCAA tournament run. All the games are posted, or they were as of 2 weeks ago, I believe. I think that's true. And I'm going to go through all of them eventually. I would like to go through each game and watch it in an hour, because I still haven't done that. I still haven't gone back and watched. I still haven't watched the championship in anything other than the live format when I was there, and I'm sure I missed a lot because I was, that venue was huge, and I didn't have the best seats because I didn't have a lot of money. So, but I look forward to doing that. Ted Berkey says, I believe one is being worked on, but not yet released. So you're talking about like the athletic department thing. I'm almost positive they're going to release something there. I bought a book for my dad for Father's Day that was put out by the Star. And I know it's the Star, but I thought it was really noteworthy. It was like a coffee table type book. I didn't know it leaned really heavily on Greg Doyle's writings, which I'm not a big Doyle guy, especially after his misreporting of a couple things last couple of years. So I'm not a big Doyle guy, but still he's pretty good at waxing poetic. And he did a lot of that this year about Purdue basketball. So that's kind of fun. And there's some really good pictures in there too. So that's cool. But the highlight video, I don't have that. Let's see. Rob Padgett says, I finally caught a live QuickCast. I live in Alabama, enjoy being isolated from Indiana-Purdue rivalry. I really hope we can pull off wins against Alabama and Auburn so I can show my face. Yeah, no kidding. Rob, tell me if I'm wrong. I believe you're the guy that we met in Dunkin' Donut in Fishers, correct? And you were up visiting family, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, tell me, but I believe that's the case. Hope you're doing well. It was great. If you're the same guy, my brain's telling me the right thing. I believe you're the same guy, and I appreciate you stopping in. Glad you got to see that. Good. It was you. Good. But yeah, I love seeing people like that. And it was great talking to you. And that's got to be an interesting thing. You know, we've got some pretty interesting boiled sports contingents. Greg McManus is a Lincoln, Nebraska guy. So the vested interest from boiled sports Purdue people all over the nation, it's pretty awesome, and yours is especially interesting this year. So, but I'm glad you got to be here and see a live QuickCast. Yeah, they are incredible live, I'm told. Just kidding. Chris Curtis says, I believe the only games that were on cable were released. The CBS games were omitted, might have changed. Okay. Yeah, it might be true. I also have, I don't know about you, I've got YouTube TV, and the DVR is excellent on YouTube TV, so I can lean on that too. And I don't know if you guys use streaming services or whatever, but YouTube TV has been awfully good to me because of sports. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I dislike the fact they've raised their prices. When I first started doing streaming and cut the cord back, you know, that dumb term back in the day, I was using the, I think it was called PlayStation View Stream. PlayStation View? I think it was PlayStation View. It was awesome. And it was cheap. And then the prices just started escalating. So they're all expensive now. So it's almost like a cable light without the box charges. But the DVR on the DVR and the quad view are just, I don't even want to say it out loud because I'm going to rig it, but they're worth the money during college football and basketball season, in my opinion. So again, Rob, thanks for being here. Chris Curtis says, correction, full replays are on there. Ed Albanese had a comment. He removed it. He said no more. Ed Albanese is the king of gummy bears. If you don't know it, he is the gummy bear fortune, the Albanese gummy bear. But thanks to everybody for tuning in and really appreciate your time. Like I said, quantity, not quality. Daryl Bryce says, in Atlanta, psyched for Auburn game. My daughter is an Auburn alum. Looking forward to having fun together. Yeah, that game in Birmingham is super interesting. I think that Birmingham arena, I think it's bigger than Alabama's home arena. It's funny reading comments on different things when schedule things come out. But I think Auburn's arena is significantly smaller than Mackey, I believe. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 9,000 to 11,000, something like that. And yeah, I think the Birmingham arena is bigger. I think it's up closer to 15 I think that's right. So you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. Ed Albany says, haha, hello everyone. Just catching this. Glad you're here, Ed. And glad you were here today too, regardless of how you listened or watched. If you listened via the Believe Network, thanks for doing it. And if you watched on YouTube, thanks for doing it as well. Hope you have a great day. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Hammer down. See ya.